Thank you, Alice. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. My name is Nikoleta. I'm an alcoholic. Thank you for the love. I feel the love. I have so much respect and admiration for your meeting, for this topic, for the faces that I see in the squares. Like I just, you guys carry me. You do. You carry me. You carry me in my smallness, and you carry me in my insecurities, and I'm just grateful that I'm in a place where even though there's a commentary in the mind that I can't do this and I'm not spiritual and somebody made a mistake because I have no idea what I'm going to talk about, there's still this part of me that says yes, right? It sees life and everything that happens as an invitation. And, I chose this topic, "I Will Be Done," because I do believe, and I have believed for the 18 years of my sobriety, that it is the most powerful prayer in the book. It is so simple. It's so rich. It's so juicy. And it has so many layers that I'm still like experiencing the value and the power of that prayer. And as I have various experiences in my life and in my sobriety, I always come back. I always end up at the "your will be done." Not mine, but your will be done. Because your will is always being done anyway, despite what I think. um, but my sober date is September 15, 2006. The night before, I tried to end my life. That was my final solution to my alcoholic problem and to my loneliness and depression and inability to stop drinking and inability to start drinking, even though I had many reasons and made many promises to my own self. And I was 27 years old on the floor of my apartment, contemplating suicide as the final solution. That's the best that my mind could come up with, I lived with terror, bewilderment, frustration, and despair. The book talks about the hideous four horsemen. Like I was absolutely just, I had no cards left to play. I kept getting checkmated by alcoholism. I was trying to control and manage my drinking and my life and the people in my life and situations and I was just really actually needing relief from that. I didn't know that at the time, but in that moment where I wanted to end my life, I also wanted to live more than I wanted to die. There was an honest prayer that came from the heart that I can't do this anymore, and a willingness to ask my sister for help. And that's where really my journey begins. But in that moment, under the influence of alcohol, on September 14, 2006, on the floor of my apartment, time stopped and something really profound happened for me that I still haven't been able to verbalize. And I still try my best to honor. Because what happened was, we call it grace. We call it an undeserved gift, a moment of clarity, an experience of being surrendered. I didn't surrender. I don't know how to surrender, but something occurred where I got out of the way enough, or the veil of delusion just parted enough for me to see some very simple truth, and that's I can't stop drinking. I can't stop drinking. And no matter what I do, I will continue to drink. And that's really where my journey begins. And I ended up in treatment where they asked me why I'm there. And I said, I don't want to die. And they handed me the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous, another gift that came my way in early recovery, a book I did not understand, did not comprehend, had no reference point for. And yet I had the willingness to read it. I had the willingness to read something that was in a foreign language with no reference point. And now looking back, I see that step one experience was so crucial, because that step one experience really created the byproduct of it was this willingness that I didn't think I was capable of, and this sense of humility and openness to step into the unknown, to listen to you guys, to read a book I didn't understand that I felt was very radical with what it was asking me to do, that I didn't understand how it had anything to do with my drinking and fixing my life. I just did not comprehend it. And I realize now that I didn't need to. The message was being transmitted nevertheless, because there was willingness and there was humility and there was openness. And I started falling in love with Alcoholics Anonymous and the message you carried, not because of the words you used, even though some of them were really extraordinary, but because of how you carried yourself. Your state of being, like, transmitted a message that was very attractive to me. And I saw that a change is possible and available. So in that sense, AA and what I saw was pregnant with possibility, and it made me very curious. On my own terms, on my power, in my head, the best I can do is to end my life at 27. And yet I was seeing something radically different happening in the lives of others, where the stories you shared about how you drank and how you presented yourself didn't match in my head. It was like I was witnessing miracles. That was very, very attractive. And in my very early recovery, I met my sponsor. And she exuded that. She exuded this freedom and humility and confidence. I felt incredibly safe in her presence, and I couldn't lie to her. It was really bizarre. It was unbelievable. I saw, like, she pierced with these piercing eyes. She saw right through me. Like, I could not utter a lie in front of this woman. I didn't understand why that was happening or how that was happening, but the amount of safe space that she provided, it was as though, like, she was like a Buddha, with the light and everything. Like, it was just incredible. It was incredibly attractive. And she said, I want to take you through the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous and the 12 steps. And the only thing I ask is that you pay it forward. And this is where I really get an opportunity to have this spiritual surgery that you guys talk about, and to have this transformation. And one of my mentors in recovery in the last 12 years, he always says, get on the operating table, don't play doctor, and don't get up. I love that. I love that metaphor for what it is that we do here. This is sort of a surgery. It's a surgery. It's a path of going from the head to the heart. It's a path of going from self-centered fear to this element of trust and faith. It's a path from going to fear, from fear to going to love. And I think that this is really what this transformative path has done for me. And I can never repay that. That's really generous. That's really, really generous. Because the girl that was going to end her life 18 years ago gets to live every single day after that as a gift. So every day becomes a gift. But I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know what I was. And I had an opportunity to have an experience with the 4th and the 5th step, and 6 and 7 and 8 and 9, where I recognized how bonded to self I was, how self manifested in various ways is what defeated me, how the problem centers in the mind, how I needed to be divorced from the mental noise, the narrative, the commentary, the stories about the past and the future. How my whole 4th step was really my argument with reality, which is why I love the prayer, Thy will be done, because Thy will be done is allowing everything to be as it is, accepting world as it is, accepting each moment as it unfolds. And I think that there is such spiritual fortitude with that, which I wasn't capable of back in the day when I was constantly relying on the mental narrative. And I think that this is really the depth and the beauty of Alcoholics Anonymous, that it allows me to live life from a different place, where I used to live my life from this failed system. The mental system, what I think about it, what I want, what I don't want, how I think it should be, from that commentary to getting information from some other place than the mind. I think that that's what the spiritual surgery has been. And so with that, I think that a part of waking up is that you want to wake up more. You taste this a little bit and then you're like hooked. I fell in love with Alcoholics Anonymous. I fell in love with the experience of feeling light after the fifth step and feeling like I belong and I'm a part of something sacred. I felt gratitude for the feeling of gratitude that I was experiencing in my heart. I felt that it all made sense, everything that happened. I felt that no one can deceive me more than I can deceive myself, right? So all of these experiences I'm having as a result of the 4 through 9. And with that, I want to live this way of life, and I become a seeker. I become a seeker. And when I was really graced. My sponsor, Lena, she met me, and the next day she said, I want you to start a silent practice. I want you to sit 2 minutes a day. Guys, do you know what's 2 minutes a day for a newcomer? You guys know what's 2 minutes. 2 minutes. I mean, 30 seconds was like purgatory. Are you kidding me? I was like cheating. I was like, I couldn't believe 30 seconds happened. I couldn't sit still. I was uncomfortable in my own skin. The mental noise was like incredible. There was no space between the thoughts. There were no ability to pause. I didn't know how powerless I was over my mind. I think that we experience this surrender, this powerlessness over alcohol as a result of step 1. It's a very tangible experience with the bottle. I have this dance with the bottle and I can't put it down, even though I want to put it down. And I have all these stories about it. But as we get into Alcoholics Anonymous and as we start having this work, what I started having an experience with is powerlessness, period. Not powerlessness over any one thing. And also how much I'm tuned up in my mind to want to control it and manage it, right? And yet the wisdom of life and the wisdom of alcoholism and why it's my spiritual path is that it was the first thing that showed me very tangibly that I'm not in control. That I can't control the uncontrollable. I can't manage the unmanageable. And I keep being in conflict with life. I kept being in conflict with life. I kept arguing with reality. I kept not trusting whenever I was on edge of uncertainty in whatever areas of my life or with myself. And that from the mental perspective, who wouldn't need relief from that? Who wouldn't want to get loaded and numb? That's heavy stuff to carry around, and, it's been a process of subtraction. It's been a process of questioning everything and questioning and putting pen to paper all of my old ideas about life and who I am and how life moves and what I should have and shouldn't have. And is that really true? It's been a journey where the prayer was, I just want to know the truth with no agenda. Like, doesn't matter what I think about it. Like, what is true here? And as I tasted that and the experience of what happened as a result of that was that I started to feel lighter. I started to walk through the day lighter. I started to walk through life lighter. And I needed and wanted this God of its understanding, which my sponsor was very good with me. She said, you don't need a concept, because I could chew any concept up because, I studied philosophy, I studied religions, I, wrote a thesis trying to prove that there is no God, 50 pages of it. I got an A, guys. I got an A. It was a real intellectual masterpiece, which had nothing to do with reality and nothing to do with experience. It wasn't experiential at all. I shivered in that. I don't know how the book says it. I see intellectual shadow, and Bill shivered in it. Like, I read that and I shivered because I could relate to that. I could relate to how much I separated myself from life and from the depth of my own being. One of the things I realized as I did my inventory was I had this like heart-opening experience during the fifth step that I didn't just harm everyone around me. I betrayed the depth of myself. I betrayed my own self, the depth of my own being. And it's so beautiful how in the book on page 55, he talks about that it is only deep down within us that it may be found. It says it's only deep down within us. And I experienced the pain of that betrayal with the way I moved in life, in selfish and self-centered and a fear-driven way. I was driven. When I'm driven, I can't pause. I can't pause when I'm driven. I can't. I'm on autopilot. I'm playing a character, and it's a very, man, this is just, we're so lucky. I just gotta say that we're so lucky. You know how generous this thing is? This has been the most generous gift ever. I say, I understand when someone like Ali says I'm a grateful alcoholic, because I'm a grateful alcoholic. I am a grateful alcoholic. And that girl dying on the floor of her apartment in 2006 didn't think that anything about that moment was good. None of it. I thought that was the worst thing happening in my life. And yet it was the necessary thing to bring me to where I am today. To give me the willingness, to give me the openness, to give me the humility to accept this radical work that's outlined in the book and to have an experience with it, which transformed me and did something in the human heart and allowed me to tap into this unsuspected inner resource. And step 10 at the end talks about we have tapped into God consciousness, this vital sixth sense. So I went from this toxic self-consciousness to God consciousness. I'm operating from another place. I'm seeking information from another place within me. Not what do I think about this, but how does this feel? Right? And with that, and with this like open heart, and with these experiences of 4 through 9, I want to seek more. I want to connect to this truth more. I want to connect to this love more. Right? And that brings us into step 11. I'm grateful that my sponsor asked me to sit quietly since early days of my recovery as a practice. And it was so funny because she asked me to sit quietly knowing that I can't sit quietly. But the purpose of me sitting quietly is for me to fail at it. It was like that was the purpose. It was for me to call her from a payphone in a sober house and say, I can't. I want to I'm like beside myself after 30 seconds. Like, this is nuts. Like, I have like breakfast, lunch, and dinner in my, like, I'm thinking about all kinds of things and nothing is happening. You're just asking me to sit for a minute quietly. And my mind is just taking me to places, right? And it was such an important experience to see just how noisy it gets and how little power I have over the mind. And that was a very humbling experience, let me tell you, because if I don't know what the next thought is in my head, how would I know if it's not going to be about drinking? How would I know that it's not going to be about something that's going to completely change the trajectory of my life and create some harm for me and for somebody else, if I only trust that? And why would I trust the mental narrative when that was the same mind that told me that I could successfully drink and that I can drink like a lady and that I can have a happy hour when my experience said otherwise? So these were like experiences. I think that this introduces us to the wisdom of life. I do think God is reality. I think that every moment as it is exactly how it needs to be. And it's about me aligning with it. I'm either going to surrender to each moment as it is, and I'm going to find a way to cooperate with the inevitable. This is requiring my cooperation with the inevitable. And what's my life going to be like if I say yes to each moment as an invitation to have an experience that I don't know how it might serve others or myself? Or I'm going to spend my time resisting it and arguing with it. And I know when I'm in argument, when I'm resisting, when I'm in fear, I'm contracted, I'm small, I'm tight. When I'm in love, when I'm coming from the heart, when I'm connected to the heart, I'm expansive. Everything is allowed. All is welcome. I say yes to life. I would think that that's what it means to successfully live in one of the promises. To successfully live is to say yes to life. And it would be silly for my mind's commentary to say that life is not going to come with some sadness and some challenges. But it would also be silly to think that I'm not equipped to welcome them as well, and to see them as a guide or an opportunity to learn something, or for resilience, for compassion, for forgiveness, for love, and all of those things. And I think that when I'm operating it from a place of conscious and voluntary surrender, moment to moment to moment, to the best of my ability, trusting that whatever is in front of me cannot be any other way, I think that I have a much better relationship with it. And I move in a much lighter way. And when I am lighter, I am more useful. When I'm lighter, I participate in life. When I'm lighter, I can have a much better relationship with whatever comes into with me. And by the way, that's also very intoxicating to feel that alive. Like, I don't want to check out. I want to feel it all. I don't want to get numb. Everything is a gift. Oh my God, I feel it all. I feel it all. I welcome the tears. I welcome the sadness, the heartbreak, the grief, the joy, the gratitude, the goosebumps I feel. Like I get on this meeting and I see some faces and I look at some smiles and I see the goosebumps. I have a commentary that I can't speak and I'm tired and I don't know what to say. And these people are my idols and I'm insecure and small. And there's a part of me that's silent, that's going, all is well. And I want to live a yes. No matter what the mind says, I want to live a yes. And what does that look like? 18 years later, the thought of drinking has not entered my mind. I love my life to the point that if this is it, I've done good. I don't want to die. And I know tomorrow's not promised. But I've come to a place in my life that even if I could drink, I wouldn't. I remember reading that in the book and going, no way. Come on. Please. All right. You took it a little too far, Bill. I mean, come on. Common sense became uncommon sense as this transformation occurred. What I valued then is not what I value now. What turned me on then is not what turns me on now. Right? What I'm attracted to then is not what I'm attracted to now. Something happened in the human heart, so much more than that, where something else is moving me, carrying me. And I would say that, how do we say yes to that? I think that's what faith is. I think that's what trust is, right? If trust is present, then I'm not afraid, really. The fear might come up. It's a human thing. Insecurity might come up. Anxiety will come up. You know, my likes and dislikes, my preferences, all of my humanness will come up. And yet there is a one big yes to life and all that it offers. Thy will be done is a yes to life. Life is an invitation to live it fully. I was not alive when I was drinking. And yet, if you ask that girl for those many years, what do I really, really want? Is to feel alive, to be real, to feel connection, to be inspired, to be moved. I want the goosebumps. I want meaning and purpose. I want the juice. And it came a completely different way than my mind told me I was going to get it. Me trying to manage life, you know, of course, whenever I succeeded, I gave myself credit. And when I failed, I blamed you. But blame is such a major part of the ego and the egoic mind, right? And we all have it. And you know what? The mind's welcome too. The mind's welcome with the commentary as well. It's all of it is welcome. I think that there's so much depth and weight in this process and the transformation that's available through this process, that it just shows us, like, not only introduces us to the wisdom of life, But I think it also shows us that there's a wise way to be in the world and a foolish way to be in the world. And I've lived them both. And I don't, this is not like an intellectual expression, right? I mean, we know what it was like when self manifested in various ways ran our lives. I mean, all throughout the book, relieve me of the bondage of self. I pray for the freedom from self-will. It's constantly asking us to turn attention away from self and selfing. It's constantly asking us to turn attention away from that. And, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, the byproduct of that is an interest in you. It's an interest in you. Bill has an awakening in the hospital. And he thinks, so how can I share this with others? I've had so many experiences in these 18 years of recovery, but you know what? That profound experience under the influence of alcohol on September 14, 2006, where time stopped and I didn't deserve it, I didn't earn it, and I didn't do anything for it. If I only honored that for the rest of my life, that's enough. Lena showing up in front of me the moment I landed in New Jersey in a sober house. Within 2 days, this woman and her partner, Barefoot Bill and Lena, were in front of me doing a meditation workshop. That's a gift. I've always been provided. I look back at my life and I see how much I deluded myself with the commentary of my mind because I wanted something from you. I wanted to be perceived a certain way, right? We see it in the inventory. We question all of the ways that we see things. The book asks me, divorce me from self-pity, dishonesty, self-seeking motives. It tells me to, well, I've never been divorced. I've never been married, first of all. Except I would like to think that I'm married to Alcoholics Anonymous. I'm very loyal to Alcoholics Anonymous. But, to divorce, why do I need to be divorced from these things? Because the problem centers in the mind. So the intent has always been this seeking, this seeker that's developed in me has always been, I want more. I want more connection. I want to know you better. And knowing you better is knowing me better. And how do I know me better? By getting quiet with myself. I need to get quiet. And I'm very grateful for Lena for introducing me to 2 minutes of silence in those early days and then dropping me off at a silent retreat where I was tasked with meditating for 1 hour clips at a time for many, many days. And that 18 months sober girl was like bawling her eyes out, scared. Scared of what? Sitting with myself. I've never experienced greater tears in my entire life. I cried like a baby at that silent retreat. All I was asked was to sit with myself, and I couldn't sit with myself. I would have blissful moments where an hour would pass in 5 minutes, and then I would, with that kind of experience, sit again, and then I would just like be thinking about food and like having songs stuck in my head I don't even like for the next 1 hour. It seemed like an eternity. How much power? How powerless are you? Do you know what the next thought will be? No, it's the wisdom of life. I don't know what next moment brings. It's not guaranteed. Tomorrow's not guaranteed. If I can live from that place, then everything becomes precious. Every moment becomes precious. Every moment becomes a gift. Then I don't seek love. I operate from love. That's a difference. It's one thing to look for love and look. It's a whole nother thing to operate from it. What does it look like when I'm looking at it, at things from the eyes of love, through the lens of love, through the lens of gratitude, through the lens of the heart? What does that look like? Then I don't need gratitude lists. And I'm not only grateful on Thanksgiving, or in the morning practice while I'm putting pen to paper. What would it look like to pray throughout the day? to never stop praying. What does that attitude look like? If we have the proper attitude and work at it, where do we have proper attitude and work at it? Page 55. What's blocking me from it? I don't need to seek it. I need to see what's standing in the way of it. We got the good stuff here, guys. We got the juice, we got the depth, we got the weight. This is transformative, and we don't even do it. What a gift. What a gift. Your will, not mine, be done. Well, your will is always done. Thy will is always done, regardless of my commentary. That's the truth. But to align with it and to be in a relationship with it that's friendly rather than in conflict makes a big difference, where I get to be free from the mind's demands that the day go a certain way, that my life look a certain way, that people move a certain way, that I get something or not lose something, that I'm in constant fear and conflict, right? It just makes a whole lot of difference. It makes me more expansive. The freedom that we get as a result of this work is not freedom from things happening. It's freedom with all of them happening. With all of them, not from them. In that place, everything is allowed. Then I have less agenda. If I have less agenda, I'm less manipulative. If I'm less manipulative, I'm not managing. If I'm not managing, I'm not trying to control the uncontrollable. I don't know why my mom and my sister don't talk for 10 years. Maybe it can't be any other way. When I wanted to fix that on my own terms, even with some good agenda, I created a lot of pain for all three of us. When I accepted it, I'm able to be a sister to one and a daughter to another. I can't see the big picture. I can't see the big picture. And that makes me, and I mean, we see it. You sit at enough fifth steps, you sit with enough sponsees that you read the book to, and you recognize that every experience of your life, big or small, is put to use. All of them. Every heartbreak, all the grief, all the challenges, the difficulties, the way we navigate them. I think this is about learning to live life successfully, is learning to navigate and to accept it for what it is, to be with it as it shows up. I think that that's what it is. I think it's a conscious surrender. I think it's a voluntary surrender. I think in it is the wisdom of letting go. Let go and let God. We all say it. What does that look like? What does that mean? In my personal experience, in day-to-day moments, even when I'm sitting quietly in the morning and the mind is busy, some mornings it's really noisy, and some mornings I feel like me and God are I'm like floating like Buddha. And then I'm like, yeah, floating like Buddha. I feel so connected. The next morning I sit and the mind is on me. And you know what? I'm not in control of that either. And it's an experience I need to be having. And it always brings a certain level of humility. Always brings a certain level of humility. It's very heart-opening and it's very humbling. And I think that this element of humility is a really important element for us human beings, not just us alcoholics. I think that an expression of humility makes us very open. And I think that when I'm open, I'm more connected to that God consciousness and that sixth sense. I'm flexible, I'm moldable, I'm teachable. I can be carried, I can be shown, I can be redirected. I'm not tight. It's expansive. It's very expansive. So I look today for how it feels rather than what I think about it. And of course, I still have opinions and preferences and moments, and we have the tools for that. And thank God I'm connected enough at this time to my body to know that when I'm in pain, in the body, anywhere, that I'm not living in the truth. And if my prayer is just to live in the truth of things, then I won't stop until when we tell the truth or we have an aha moment, you know that relief, you know that moment of exhale, like, oh, everything suddenly becomes crystal clear and like just something drops like heavy from you. That's the wisdom of this. That's the spiritual awakening. That's the awakening. That's what we would look like to walk through life awake, open, here, present, present. I'm here with you. I'm here with you, not in the virtual reality of my mind. So I hope that was. I hope you like me. Okay, thanks for letting me share.
Nicoletta, thank you for a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful talk. How wise. So again, folks, we encourage you to ask questions. Nicoletta, I'm going to start us off with a question. So I think at the end, I heard you talking about being divorced from pain, that when I have physical pain, or maybe you were talking about emotional pain, that there's a way that I get free from that. Can you say more or help me clarify?
Thanks, Alice. I think what I was thinking is more like divorce from self-pity, dishonest, self-seeking motives, and from the mental noise, which is always in some story about the past and the future, to be divorced from that, from the narrative, and the commentary, kind of like along those lines of that. There's that beautiful saying that says something along the lines of mind will make a heaven out of hell and hell out of heaven. Like I can't really perceive things the way they are, just using my perspective. But I do use the body as a guide to inform me if I'm not living in truth of something. And I think we all know what that's like. I remember my sponsor telling me in my silent meditations and prayers while I was writing the fourth step to sit quietly and to really engage the body. And like when we're resentful and angry and in fear, we're tight and we're sweating and we're uncomfortable and we just can't sit, and so I feel that the body is more in tune with the truth and the universe, with the spirit. And so I know, if you can't sleep well at night, unless it's a medical issue, there might be something gnawing at you. So, somewhere, something is standing here, like on your shoulders, going, look here, look here, look here. So I use the body as a way to point me also, as opposed to the mind.
Thank you, Nicoletta. Nash, please come in.
Hi, everybody. Nash alcoholic. Thank you, Nicoleta. Um, yeah, I want to have what you have. Um, I see how much that shift is, like you talk about, moving from the narrative of your head to your heart. So my question is this, because I mean, it would be foolish for me to think that you never have issues where your mind kind of takes over again, right? But it does look like it never happens for you, just so you're aware. But when it does come back, and what, if it comes, how do you stop it? Where do you, like, do you sit with meditation? What is your practice to kind of recenter yourself and just remind yourself that it's a different way of life? Yeah, I understand what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, mine's on me. I'm as human as they come. I have my seasons and episodes and moments and all of that. I can't say that they've at this time taken more than few hours or few days or whatever it is, but service, service. I turn my attention to others. If I'm thinking of others, I can't be thinking of self. So when I try to tell the truth, we have the tools. I write inventory. I call my sponsor. I sponsor women. I cry. I pray. I pause. I get quiet. I get frustrated. I turn to my partner. I don't say a word. I anything and everything that I can utilize that comes to me to see the truth until I'm at a place where I'm completely powerless over it and I'm broken open again and I'm humbled by the whole thing and I see something and I'm carried through it. I think I'm carried through it with AA, with the intent of wanting to know, and with the prayer life, with the sits, and with service. For me, service is the big one.
Thank you, Nikoleta. Michelle?
Yeah, thank you, Nicoletta. I want to keep this really brief, but so my husband died quite suddenly actually he died on December 1st. It was 2 years ago, and then they revived him and he died again the next day and they had him on a vent. And my question is, I was coming from a place with love in that hospital with my husband because I knew my husband's wishes. And when I asked them to take him off the vent because he was brain dead, and the doctor said to me, she gave me this very cold look, and she said, "You don't look surprised." And I I stood there and I thought to my God, I was, God, like, what am I supposed to look like? And I was coming from a place of love for my husband. And, it's the funniest thing. I did all the things that I knew my husband wanted. And then I started doubting myself after that, like after all the trauma and well, the trauma's still there, but not as it started dissipating. And I kept going over this doctor asking me that question. I'm so stupid that I kept going over it and over it. Like, did she think I didn't love my husband? Questioning stupid things. And when you talked about coming from a place of love, I don't think sometimes the earth people out there, we used to call, I'm sober, grace of God, almost 50 years, but the earth people, we call them. I don't think sometimes they get it, and that throws me more than anything. I mean, I know myself. I know the place I'm coming from, but when I get questioned, I know they have the right to question it, and I try to just, those are the hardest things for me to let go. Let me put it that way. Questioning where I'm coming from a place of love and they don't understand it, then that's when I get all boggled up in myself. And then, like you said, service is the best thing. But have you ever experienced it, like the earth people kind of messing with your brain? I guess that's my question.
I experience all people messing with my brain. I'm as human as they get. I doubt myself. I minimize my experience sometimes, thinking that yours is better than mine, or you might know better than me because of my own stuff and conditioning and preconceived notions. But I've learned to pause in those moments, allow that little girl to have her moment, give her a hug, the one that doubts herself and that's insecure and thinks that your experience is more valuable than the experience I'm having. And I return to an understanding that I could never really know what kind of experience you're having. And you ought to have yours, and I ought to have mine. I want to give you the freedom to have yours, just like I would like the freedom to have mine. And being true to the experience I'm having. But, I have doubt and I have insecurity, and I had insecurity about speaking at this meeting. Absolutely. And that's part of life and being human. And that's welcome too. That little girl, my little girl that had a lot of trauma, she's welcome too, to heal in the space of this. Because every time I show up, regardless of how she feels and what she says, I get healing too. So it's all good. All is welcome.
Thank you, Nikoleta. So we've got 6 minutes. We've got 4 people. If I can get you guys in for 30-second questions, we can let Nikoleta give us her point of view. Eva?
Hi there, everyone. I am an alcoholic. My name is Ava. Glad to be here. That pressure's on. The questions. You know what? There's no specific question. I just want to say that I appreciate being here, and that having been so close to death on the 16th has raised me to an awareness of my higher power and the ability to meditate and to be of service to others and to actually be present and to be able to actually pray. And I'm so grateful for that. And that's all that I have to share. Thank you all.
Eva, we are so, so happy that you're here. Thank you for joining us. I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yeah, of course.
Irina, please come in.
Good evening, family. My name's Irina. I'm an alcoholic. Nikoleta, thank you. You said so many things, and I'm looking at all my notes going, it's so simple. It's so simple. And yet I can complicate it as no other. And those dark moments come and I can complicate it like no other. And I know, especially for me in early sobriety, I could do that more so, well, equally as so as I can do it today. So just out of curiosity, and this meeting does permit you to mention non-conference approved literature. What were some things that, because the big book does tell us to expand our spiritual lives and see where the religious are right, what sources have brought you wisdom and brought you comfort in those darker moments that perhaps weren't just in the big book?
Oh my God, we would need another hour for just that. I am a hungry, yearning seeker. And I've had some teachers that have thrown books and meditations and practices. I've gone on a lot of meditation retreats. I've done a lot of chanting. 2 nights ago, I was floating in a sensory deprivation tank naked for an hour meditating. I'll do it all. I'm like, just put me out there, but, some of the teachers, my favorite teacher of all time, and I consider him my mentor, he no longer teaches, but his name is Adi Ashanti, if you want to look him up.
Put the spelling in the chat for us when you get a chance, Nikoleta, and what a beautiful answer. Lois, you're up. I'm sorry, I muted you. Try again. I'm sorry.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Lois. I have 74 days in, and you said a couple things that really hit me, like pause when you're driven, sit quietly. I have my own business, and I am driven. I have a hard time sitting quietly. I try every morning. Is there a trick you have that maybe I'm not doing right?
I don't think there's right or wrong. I think it's just sitting. So in early times, I set a small amount of time, like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, and then that just like expanded. I think the whole idea is to sit, and the intent is to sit. There's an intent behind it. We want to sit with a sort of a openness, a curiosity. I would say sit with this feeling of curiosity and sit with the truth that you can sit. Be humble that you can sit, that it's uncomfortable, that you want to get up, that you want to think, that the mind takes you on journeys while you sit, and be with that. And just focus on your breath. That's the best thing to do in early recovery and in early meditation sits. Just keep it simple and just do it. The meditation at its worst is good for you. So like, even if you think you're not doing it right, trust me, you're doing more meditation than most of humanity.
Lois, thank you for being here. Please go into the chat and get the instructions about how to get the recordings. And we really hope that you'll join us on this broad highway. And Mark, you're up.
Hi, everybody. Mark, alcoholic. Grateful to be here. Nikoleta, fate, God, love, and interest in you, because I texted you 2 minutes before this meeting. I had no idea you were going to be here, and then I see your face. Talk about that. That's some of the magical things that happen to us. I just wanted to ask you about where did you find the will to stop fighting thy will? Sometimes I don't know where to find that.
Thank you, Mark.
So just to repeat the question, how did I find the will to stop fighting God's will? Kind of along those lines?
Yes.
I don't think the will is I wouldn't say that my experience was that I found more will to stop, because that would be more managing, more me doing. It was more me failing. This has been a path of failure. I've tried to manage my life and my drinking. I got really, really broken. And in that brokenness, something else swooped in and a door opened up. So it wasn't up to me to do it, which is why they call it grace. It was actually that I got exhausted. I understand what people mean when they say I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. It's such a simple statement and we hear it all the time. But what does that look like? It's just like, I can't do this. I'm not managerial quality, as one of my mentors says, right? Anybody else can run my life better than me. The treatment center ran my life better than me. The counselor ran my life better than me. The sober house I'm not even talking about God here. I'm not even talking about AA. Like, I'm not very good at this. Recognize that. Let that truth guide you.
Yeah. Thank you, Nikoleta. What a beautiful meeting. I thank you all for being here. And Michelle, I'm turning it back over to you.